Hello, friends. Happy, almost Merry Christmas. It is the day before Christmas Eve, so perfect timing for this message. And it might be a white Christmas. We're expecting a storm. As you can see, there's only a little bit of snow on the mountaintop, so quite a different Christmas than normal here out hiking in December. I'm not necessarily going to complain. But coming in with lesson number 9 today. I have 9 and 10 left. I'll get 10 next week, which will be perfect for the new year. And again, I'm sharing the top. If you go back, they've been over the last couple of months on the podcast and on social, sharing just my top 10 lessons from the last decade. As DFIT turned 10 in October, it's just been such a good time to reflect. And if you know me and if you come to my classes and my coaching, I love growing and learning. I feel like we're always being taught lessons, and that's really what life's about is, are you learning and growing from the lessons and sharing that and helping others? And so I hope that some of these have really resonated with you, and I broke them apart so you can listen to them in 10-minute or less segments. So today, number 9, and I say none of them really had a significance of importance, but I have to say if I have to pick one that is the most powerful and important, it probably really is this lesson. Not probably, it is this lesson. And that is over the last 5-6 years, faith. Faith has become my strongest foundation. It has become the anchor in my life. It has become my guiding North Star. My relationship with God is really at the center of everything. And little background, and I get it. Like I did not grow up going to a church, really understanding anything. I was kind of dabbled around between part of my family was Jewish and part were Catholic, and I didn't really know or any understand any of that. Looking back, I see that I always really had a really strong spiritual side and connection to God, but I didn't know what it was back then at the time. And really over the last 5-6 years, really decade, but most powerfully the past 5 or 6 years, I've just had so many amazing spiritual encounters with God and just his guidance and just learning more, leaning into faith in our church community and just seeing that like nothing is by accident. Nothing is coincidental. If you really start looking for those God winks in your life, they are everywhere. And that takes grounding. That takes quieting. That takes things that I had no business being any good at. But I remember one time, I've talked about this before, back in, I think it was 2022, coming off of really just everybody has a different pandemic story, but trying to carry the weight of the world through VFIT, dealing with like very, very just anxiety all the time, staying up, just feeling this loss of control, not connected to my family. My husband and I were going through a really hard time. And I feel like God was like shaking me, but he doesn't do that. He does it in the quiet ways. And I remember being at a retreat in San Diego in Torrey Pines, and I'll never forget this, just walking, and I pray that everybody has some spiritual encounters in their life with God because it's so profound. And again, this part of my journey has made some people uncomfortable when I share it, or they're like, you have no business talking about your faith in your business. And I'm like, well, it is my business and it is who I am, and a strong part. And I'm not a Bible thumper or someone that's going to throw anything down anyone's throat, but for me, it's changed who I am, how I lead, and every part of me. And so to not share it would be to not share my true self. But yeah, I was at a retreat in San Diego, just feeling, I just feel like I remember being so broken, really struggling in our marriage. I felt like every part of my life I was struggling in. And I just was like, I think when you hit rock bottom, sometimes you're like, God, are you there? And I didn't say it in that sort of way, but I remember walking around the Rose Garden at Torrey Pines at retreat and literally having this, like, what's that movie? It's a Wonderful Life, where you have like someone like guiding you around, showing you how good your life is and why, but it was God, and he was there with me, and he was painting. It was like a painting. And I know if you've never had this, it kind of sounds crazy, but he was painting this picture of my life. Like, I shut that door for you for a reason. I opened that door for a reason. I put that person in your life for a reason. Like, trust me, give me your keys, give me your faith, and let's do this a different way instead of me always going up against myself, trying to do everything on my own. I'm an only child from divorced parents, so I had a very strong, independent, I still do, my husband will say, spirit of like, I can do it myself. I can do it myself. And when my little 7-year-old does that, I wonder where she gets it from. So I kind of in that moment just surrendered. and just, it felt so peaceful and amazing. And I had been starting my faith walk before this. That's why I say it really has been over the last decade or so, since moving to the little town we moved in, and all, like I said, these little doors and God winks and synchronicities and things that you just can't say happened coincidentally. And so, yeah, it's just become faith. And I love this because you cannot have fear and faith at the same time. They cannot coexist at the same time. And so I would rather choose to live in faith, to believe that there is a greater calling. And what it does is it takes you out of yourself. Like, there's a bigger picture than just, for me, it was always striving to hit numbers, or what's the next mountain to climb, achieve. And there didn't come with that feeling of like, when you achieved, it was like, okay, what's next? And I just didn't want to live that way anymore. I wanted to live in peace and harmony. I wanted our marriage, save our family, to have a strong marriage, and to bless our kids with that, and to, by leading myself, my husband, I never like smacked him over the head and was like, you have to do this too. Like, we just experienced this together. And again, it's a blessing of God. And there's just so many in my life. And so and this is a part of how I lead my Rise group, is like having some faith in your life. Again, I'm not Bible thumping, telling you what to believe, how to believe, but to know that you are not just here by accident. I can't tell you, my anxiety is almost all gone. Leaning into faith. I have such strong morning routine of reading different daily devotionals and journaling and just spending that time in relationship. I think this is what a lot of people haven't experienced. And I know for me, that was the case. It isn't just knowing and having the Bible memorized and doing the things to do the things and check the box and being this perfect person. That is not faith. Faith is trusting in what you can't yet see, know, understand, believe, and know that God has a greater purpose on your life, that you were given special gifts, special strengths. Like, I love empowering our kids with this, seeing this in my family. Everybody has different gifts and strengths, and that if you're called to it, if God calls you to it, and once you start to get more into spirit and just begin that journey, you know when it feels right. This has been the biggest blessing on my life, is I don't feel like I have to force things anymore. I can stop. I can go to prayer. I can get quiet. I can ask. I can receive. And so, like I said, you can't have both fear and faith at the same time. And it doesn't mean that my head doesn't ever go into fear or scarcity or a negative thought, but I have God on my side. I have God in my heart, in my relationship, and that spirit that's in us that gives us that connection at any time. And it's such a beautiful way to live. And one of my biggest blessings over the last decade is really deepening that. My husband, myself, and my oldest daughter got baptized together about 1.5 years ago, and just finally feeling at peace with something that I'd never understood in the bigger picture of the world. And now, of course, I do find the Bible super interesting, and the stories and what the scripture teaches us and the lessons. But again, it's deeper. It's that faith that you are not just here on accident. There is a purpose over your life. There is a calling. And when you ask, when you pray, you also have to sit and listen and receive and get quiet. And it's taken just so much pressure. Like I said, I was living in anxiety. I was living in striving. I was living in the what's next, the performance, the perfection, like all of those crippling ways of living, that it's just so freeing to be like, okay, I'm just going to be obedient. I'm just going to be obedient when God calls you to something, and then it's him calling you. You might be like, are you sure you got the right person? I do that all the time. But he will qualify you along the way. He will give you the people. He'll give you the tools. He'll, again, sometimes close doors that you're like, hey, I want that door open so bad. But he closes it. And then he's going to open a new one. And so I just encourage you, if you want to strengthen, I hear this from a lot of people right now, and so I'm sharing too. I hear this especially from a lot of women and moms. They want to strengthen their faith walk. They want to know how to lead their family. And you are, as a woman, a leader of your family. I know not everyone agrees with that, but you have this different heart set and soul set and ability to lead and intuition and these gifts. And so if you are feeling called more to that, seek it. Seek, and it will find you. But you've got to be open. You've got to stop the constant outside noise. It all is within. It all is within. And it's so empowering. And again, it takes away when business maybe isn't going as great as I want, or I hit a roadblock, or something blows up. I just see that there's a bigger picture in it all, and to keep being obedient. And being obedient means taking action. I said to get quiet and to listen, but it also means when you're called to take action, to take action. And so, hope this message blesses somebody. I didn't know where I was in this for so much of my life. And even, I've had before like imposter syndrome, like, am I too old to have found this relationship and this path? And no, never. You're never too old. God takes us all on a unique journey for a reason. And so I'd love if anyone wants to reach out and talk more about this. I am here. I am transparent. I am never judging. And, it is a part of the rise that is coming up in the end of January. Again, it's open to all. It's not a certain religion. I think religiosity. I'm part of a soul-filled team. Like, that's not what it's about. It's about spirit. It's about connection. It's about obedience in that relationship. So have a beautiful and Merry Christmas. What a gift Christmas is. And I just thank you if you're still listening. I'm rooting for you. I'm here for you. You are here on purpose. There is no doubt about that.